Truth be told, I want to welcome you once more to another session of business stories. You know, these business stories, a lot of people are giving me very good feedback, and I just want to say a very big thank you to all of you out there who take your time to watch these videos, and of course to go straight back to YouTube to follow, to subscribe, and to engage with me on the platform. Yeah, so very quickly, I want to talk about the fact that sometimes some of us imagine that maybe the Corporate Affairs Commission uses maybe some sort of artificial intelligence technology, maybe in their name search approval, in looking through all the documents, and in approving and even in issuing certificate. The answer is a capital no. There are human beings behind the portal that are actually involved in the day-to-day running to see that everybody gets what they need per time. And basically, when you have a lot of humans on something, one thing is for sure, you're gonna have some mistakes along the line. So I don't want to call it the mistakes that CAC makes. No, I'm not gonna say that. I'm just gonna also acknowledge that the human error is actually a factor that sometimes could elongate the process of registering a business. And this doesn't apply to just CAC alone. Name all the regulators that you know. Name the central bank, name stamp duties, for example, maybe name FIRS. You can also call on even NIPOST. NIPOST is a regulator, in case you don't know. NIPOST is still a regulator. They still are a regulator, even though they are still a player in the game, but they are still a regulator. But basically what I want to share, in addition to what I've already said, is the fact that when you are actually planning to get your name search done, you put in the name, and sometimes they can approve the name for you, and that approval is in error. In fact, CAC will tell you that the approval is still subject to a disapproval. It can be disapproved. The fact that your name has been approved for you does not mean that that is tied in law or is sacrosanct. Anything can happen, and CAC can still tell you that that name is no longer available for you to use. So that also buttresses the human error that I'm actually talking about. So basically, there are two things that CAC does to ensure that your name doesn't clash with somebody else's name and there is no infringement issue or a trademark issue along the line and all that. So with that said, at the name search stage, when you put in your name for the first time, your name can either be approved or disapproved. When your name is approved by the approving officer at the name search stage, then you can proceed with your registration. When you continue with that registration, you go on and on and on and on. You do all your filing, you submit all your documentation, and at the end of the day, one thing happens. Before you are given your RSC number, there's what they call the RG search. What that simply means is that before your RSC number is issued to you, the Registrar General of the Corporate Affairs Commission will check that name again. They will check that name again to see if that name still complies with the rule. So at that point in time, that's the second time that name is going to be checked against the database that the Corporate Affairs Commission already has, And when they run that search and you are unlucky, they can now query your registration. When they query your registration, they would advise you to change the name. Sometimes that advice can come by way of maybe change the name. They don't necessarily tell you who is going to pay the cost of changing that name. But of course, you and I know that you are the one who is going to pay the cost of having to change that name at that point in time. So basically what you now do is you now file for a name substitution of the already approved name. You would now be told, okay, you need to distinguish the words, maybe add 2 words to this, add 3 words to this, or change the name entirely. So that's the game. So it's a whole long process for you to see that, okay, a name is approved, then you do documentation, you do everything, pay filing fees, stamp duties, then you now have another search on your name. So it goes to show that we have a regulator that is actually serious-minded, because I actually would call that seriousness, not minding the fact that maybe an error might have been made, or better yet, let's call it an oversight. Not an error, an oversight. So these things happen. So when next you find that you've spoken to your incorporation consultant and that's the issue, this is actually the story behind that particular issue, so that you can actually gain understanding. And don't forget, this channel is out there to help you guys, and helping us is not for you to maybe pay for this content. No, it's just for you to listen to the content, to subscribe to the videos, and to share with your friends. Until I come your way next time, my name is Joe.